Hi everyone. Welcome back to Panels and Borders, and this is the series I'm doing, comic back issue. I did the first part last week, and now I'm continuing with the series I'm working on, Detective Comics, Batman Year 2, Part 2. And so I just want to take, to talk about the cover of this. So I'm going to talk about some of the artwork. I'm going to talk about the storyline, kind of go through the plot. So there's going to be spoilers if you haven't read this comic. I'm assuming most people probably have if you're a Batman fan, because this comic has been out for 30 years. So right away, the art team has been switched up from the last issue. The last issue, it was Alan Davis and Paul Neary. And this issue, it's Todd McFarlane with inks by Alfredo Alcala. So quite a difference in art style from Alan Davis. This is actually pretty nice cover, pretty cool cover. You got Batman's emblem over the Reaper's scythe there, and Batman's all torn up and he's holding the gun that he dug out in the previous issue. And again, I really like the black shadow of the bat there in behind the Detective Comics logo. That orange really makes Batman pop against it. Kind of like less is more, just a simple cover, with that orange background there, not overly detailed. So Batman Year 2, Mike W. Barr, writer, Todd McFarlane as penciler, and Alfredo Alcala as inker. Chapter 2, Deal with the Devil. So this chapter starts off, they're moving, a criminal guy here, and, they got him surrounded by protection because, they suspect the Reaper might show up. And then all of a sudden the sniper starts firing off shots. So the police try to take the sniper out, but they can't take out the sniper because it's just a dummy. It's not a real, it's not a real thing. And it's just a ruse by the Reaper so he can get in there and take this guy out. So he kills this guy, kills a bunch of his men, he even, kills a few cops. So this just, and injures another cop, steals an armored vehicle. So this just goes to show how far the Reaper is going to go. The Reaper's going to go a lot further than Batman. The Reaper, will, even if you're on the side of the law, but if he perceives you as even protecting a criminal, he is going to take you out. So that's the difference. So even if if it's someone that's even standing in his way that he perceives that's protecting the, someone who's innocent like a cop or anyone like that, he's going to take him out or injure him. So he will stop at nothing to get his goal. Very, very different from Batman, ideological wise. And then here we have Batman in the Batcave. He's got the gun that was used to kill his parents. He's target practicing with it in the Batcave. And then now up here, Leslie doesn't approve of him having that gun and doesn't really like it. She just overall doesn't approve of him being Batman. She, thinks that one night he's going to go out and he's not going to come back. And, but obviously she realizes it's no use to talk to him. And now the last two panels, I kind of like that there, we got Bruce Wayne holding up the bat costume there. And then the last panel, you got Judson Caspian, going over the Reaper, and he's like basically positioned almost identical. Like it's almost like an identical panel to the top one. He kind of got that mirror image. That's an ongoing theme in in Batman Year 2, is the Reaper is a mirror image of Batman. He's like, if Batman had crossed that line, he would have been the Reaper, or he would have, devolved into the Reaper. And then here we have Rachel Caspian again, and she's, going over her habit because she's going to become a nun. And then we start to realize that, we learn that her mother is dead, and now we find out in this issue, why Mr. Caspian became the Reaper in the first place, and what his origin was. So it starts off, they're coming home from the circus, and they see like a thief coming out of their building. So, Judson Caspian, decides to confront him on his own. The guy's got a gun. He shoots, Judson Caspian shoots his wife, but leaves Rachel alive. So very similar to Batman's origin, almost basically identical to Batman's origin, same origin. But Rachel and Bruce Wayne have the identical, childhood experience. it's mirrored very well because, they're both coming from a place where they had just, come from a place where they were very happy. She's just coming from the circus with her parents, coming home from the circus, walking home from the circus with her parents. Whereas Bruce Wayne was coming back from the movies with his parents when his parents got, shot. And so they have that mirror image. Now, the difference being her father survived. But now he was wheelchair bound, as you can see in the funeral here. We can see that, his fingers start to move. So they indicate that he, even though he was shot and was wheelchair bound for a while, obviously he recovered and he became the Reaper. And he tells her, remember, I do everything I do for you and I do for her. So she finds that kind of puzzling, when he said that. Then we go on to Bruce Wayne is back out, on another date with Rachel, and they're, walking together and stuff. And then Bruce Wayne is kind of putting on his mask, his Bruce Wayne mask, the mask he used to interact with the world. He's not being honest with her and who he really is. He's acting like, he's kind of like he has too much time on his hands. He's like, this irresponsible guy. He takes everything, he doesn't take anything serious and all this kind of act. But she sees through it. She sees that it is just an act. And she says, because she can spot it in her father. She sees the same traits in Bruce Wayne that's in her father, and she just calls Bruce Wayne out on his bullshit right here. And, just says, this is an act, you're really lonely, and you're like my father. And then, she's seen him, become reclusive and withdrawn because his wife was the only thing that mattered to him, and then she was taken away and shot. And, Bruce Wayne says, maybe it's not too late. And he starts to let his guard down around her, and, you can see, like, there's a romance, starting to brew here. And now we see Batman back in Commissioner Gordon's office. Batman has a plan. He doesn't want to be involved with the police in this, capture of the Reaper. And this is where the story, just like the gun thing that doesn't make sense, this is another part of the story that really kind of bugs me, that no matter how many times I've read it, it doesn't make sense. This is Batman's whole plan. How he's going to get the Reaper doesn't make any sense. So then we're here at the airport because there's a criminal from, Metropolis on his way to Gotham, to meet with some other, mobsters. And, the police are there because they suspect the Reaper might show up and off this guy. And then they see someone suspicious approaching the plane, so Gordon and his men move in. And of course, they're right. The Reaper does try to take this guy out, but he's interrupted, thwarted by Batman. So they face off again. Batman battles the Reaper again. This is round 2. And then Gordon, he's going to take a shot at the Reaper. And, Batman shoots the gun out of Gordon's hand. Batman stops him. And he's, tells him he's going to deal with the Reaper. And then, they scrap some more. And then, Batman gets his way into the plane. And he grabs the boss that the Reaper was going to kill, the mob boss. And Batman steals him away. Gets him away from Gordon and the Reaper. So Gordon and his men don't get him, and the Reaper don't get him. And then here we have, like, an organized crime meeting. Basically they're talking about how the Reaper's been, since the Reaper's been reactive, he's been, their profits are down. They can't get anything going, and, they got to do something about the Reaper. So here's this guy. Basically, he's a gun for hire. He's offering the services. Basically, I'll take this guy out. I'm the guy you call. We need someone knocked off, and in return, I call when I need some drugs or a woman or whatever. I'll call you. But they're not really convinced. And then all of a sudden, this criminal from Gotham is just, Metropolis. This mobster from Metropolis is dropped in on the table, and Batman delivers him to them as like a sign of goodwill. Like Batman tells him, hey, I gave you your guy. Let's join forces because we both want the same thing. I want to get the Reaper. You want to get the Reaper. And, these mobster guys are not really convinced, but, they don't know if they can trust Batman. They say, what if you double cross us? And Batman says, well, I can say the same thing about you. I can't trust you, but we both want to get the Reaper. So then they said, well, you got to join up with our guy. We've got a guy that's going to take the Reaper out. So you got to join up with him. So Batman, sees the guy, then instantly recognizes him. It's Joe Chill, the guy who killed his parents. He's older now, but Batman still recognizes him. And then he introduces himself, Joe Chill. Now he's got to be partners with the guy who killed his parents. And so Now, see, this is part of the story that doesn't really make sense for me, because why would Batman pair up these monsters? Like, I don't really understand how he's going to use these guys to actually get the Reaper. It doesn't really make sense while he's going this far when he can, you know, I don't know. It's out of character for Batman to do this, in my opinion. It doesn't really make sense. I guess he's a less experienced Batman. Maybe that's what they're going with. Than, like, you know, like a more seasoned Batman who's 10 years or 5 years into his crime-fighting career wouldn't do this. So I don't know. Maybe that's what the writers are going for, but I don't. To me, reading this story, it's not very convincing. So yeah, that's that issue, and I'm gonna do, you know, part 3 is coming up right away. So you know, let me know in the comments, you know, if you agree with my, you know, my thoughts on this comic, or maybe you think I'm all wet. I'm not sure. But anyway, thanks for watching, and you know, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.